Hey guys, what's going on? Rarest here. So first and foremost, I want to talk about my approach for week one of every league. Kind of like my thought process and kind of just how I go about it. Now, first things first, a lot of my guild members know this about me, but I will make a plethora of characters. Right now, I believe I'm sitting at 3. Technically 4, but I'm sitting at 3. One's a Spectre Bank. But I made a video on this already. The first character that I made was a Spectre build, which I usually do enjoy playing overall. We all know Spectres can do pretty much all content. They might not be the best for all content, but they can do all content. They can definitely do 40 out of 40 challenges, get all that sweet loot, everything. But I have 3 characters right now. One's a Spectre, then I made a Toxic Rain character, then I made a Cyclone character. Every character, it's kind of like it's like a 50-50 thing for me, right? When I make a new character, the ideology behind it is I want to try a new play style or a new skill, and what kind of content do I want to focus on for this character, right? Now, obviously, a lot of characters, a lot of builds can do a lot, if not all content. So, but I like to kind of specifically focus usually on like a few things or one thing if I can. So with that being said, my Spectre build is kind of like my all-round build. It's kind of like my plan B build, right? If I don't enjoy it, let's say I want to focus on something else, if that doesn't work, then I'll come back. But with that being said, my Spectre build is kind of like my all-round, but primarily he's like my Conqueror killer or Cyrus killer to some extent, right? At least to get a couple watchstones and kind of get the flow going and the wheels turning. The Toxic Rain character is a mapper. He is a shadow trickster, and if anyone is familiar with usual bow builds or just trickster in general, they're speedy. Okay, they're speedy boys. They're pretty fast with all of my with everything popped at once, with all the mechanics working. I get around like 165 to 170% movement speed for a couple seconds, for a handful of seconds. Also, a quick tip: one of the best Quicksilver flasks in the game, in my personal opinion, and they hover around 10 chaos, is a experimental Quicksilver flask of adrenaline. Try to get it with 40% increased duration, and then hit it with some glass blower orbs, so you can increase the quality. It's 2 quality for every orb, so 20 quality, 10 orbs. Not bad, pretty cheap, and you will increase the time. I think with 40% increased duration, it's at like, let's just say 4.4. Well, with 20 quality, it's now 6.4. So that's 6 seconds. That's 6.4 seconds of constant time, and you're running pretty damn fast. So that's just a quick tip. You can craft it yourself. It's kind of hard because you need you need experimental mod and you need the adrenaline mod, and to get a 40%, it doesn't matter what increased duration it really is at the end of the day. As long as it's 20 quality and it's got those 2 mods on it, you're good. But that's my Toxic Rain character. He's kind of a mapper. And then my Cyclone character, which is more for delve for me. I like Cyclone. I don't delve super far. 200 is usually my cap. Actually, I've never even got 200, but 150 is like around that. I just want to get all the crafts. That's really it. I just want to get all the crafts. And I think at 100 or like 125 is like max. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Also, lastly, I look at PoE kind of like as a map, and I open it up every league. I kind of put a blindfold on, I throw a dart, and I see where the dart lands. And in that perspective, there's a lot of mechanics. Do I want to focus on delve for the first week? Do I want to try to get as many crafts as possible? Do I want to try to get as big of a map pool? Do I want to try to kill Cyrus first week? There's a whole bunch of stuff, but that's usually like the majority of week 1 for me. Make a plethora of characters and then kind of pick 1 or 2 big topics and kind of just work towards them, and just to make some progress, because there's a lot in the game. And for a new player, you probably won't have this mindset, but it's okay. For someone that's been on and off, I'm like a casual vet. I've been playing on and off since 2014. So yeah, I always trying to refresh myself on old information just to kind of get me back up in speed. So next, how to farm for a Tabula Rasa. 2 real methods in my eyes, really 3, but there's 2 that I like. and you basically pick which one depending on how you want to approach the game, right? So the first method is Blood Aqueducts. Blood Aqueducts, for a lot of new players or hardcore, I know for the hardcore community, a lot of people farm Blood Aqueduct up until like 75, 80, just because it's easy. It's a linear map, a lot of XP, and you can farm Tabula Rasa. You can farm the humility cards. So my strategy is farm for, however long you want to, 1 to 3 hours farming humility cards, but at the same time make sure you're picking up 6 sockets. Now they don't drop as frequent in Blood Aqueducts as if you would if like white and yellow and like further on maps, like harder maps, and you're also not really doing any league mechanics, right, so to speak. So but basically the idea is to farm humility cards, take those 6 socket items, sell them, take the jewelers, either sell them for chaos or you trade the jewelers for fuse links and then to chaos, and then you take those chaos and then you buy the remainder of the humility cards to get a Tabula Rasa. Now obviously not everyone is able to play for 15 hours, 16 hours on day 1 of a new league. We all have, jobs, different responsibilities. So you have that approach. The second approach would be to get straight to maps. This is probably the more picked option, whether willingly or just like unknowingly, because the further you get into the progression of the Atlas and the more content you do, the harder the content and so on and so forth, 6 sockets are going to drop more and more often. Now, why am I saying 6 sockets over Chaos Recipe? Chaos Recipe, if you're new to it, it might be cool for a day or two, or you might get burned out in the first 2 hours. I don't know. It's all up to you. But it gets extremely boring and extremely tedious. Now, the new tool that just came out not too long ago, shout out to Path of Math, it's a little bit of a headache to get started. Even when you get it started, cool, but do maps. You're going to get 6 socket items. They're just easy. You pick them up, you sell them. That's it. There's no recipe besides that. And just farm chaos doing that. It's another way to farm chaos. It's another way to accumulate currency. And then buy your Tabula Rasa. For the chaos recipe tool, again, shout out to Path of Math. He's a great content creator. He's awesome. The tool its main purpose is for the chaos recipe itself, hence the name. But it also has a bunch of other features when it comes to efficiency and quality of life in general. I think that's where the tool really shines. So, for example, instead of sitting, like here, I'll just go to the stash tab real quick. Right here, this is where I gave up on the chaos recipe. I haven't touched this in a few days, but what's really nice is instead of saying, hey, fossils or essence or fragments, the tool has all those buttons already in the tool itself. So all you do is click, and instead of sitting there trying to think of like, okay, what's another way that I can kind of filter all the junk in my dump tab and try to organize it efficiently, that's where the tool really shines, because it gives you that opportunity to really kind of just click and go versus trying to sit there and figure out, or just try to look and hunt. Because I can't tell you how many times that I filled up a quad tab and then I go to organize it and sort everything out and try to strip it clean, but I'm always like overlooking or missing certain things, involving me to backtrack and go to previous tabs that I've already dumped currency in. And basically, that might not sound, that might sound like nitpicky, but in actuality, when you're doing something repetitively, and it does take up some time, it will take you about 5 minutes, depending on how efficient you are. It will take you about around, give or take, 5 minutes to clean out a full quad tab. Hell, even sometimes 10 minutes. Seriously. So having that little quality of life to just click a button and then it highlight everything for you in that tab that is relative to what you just clicked on means everything. It's literally like night and day. Now, getting the tool to work, basically what bricked the tool from day one was GGG had a typo in the new league. I don't know exactly what it was. A guild member of mine knew. He saw it. But When GGG patched it, they bricked the tool because the tool had that typo in the code, or like part of the code. So you had to wait for an update. You had to do a couple extra steps just to get it to work. It is tedious, and we all know that Path of Exile has a plethora of tools, overlays, websites, a bunch of third-party programs where if you don't want to deal with that extra headache to get another tool yet again to work in Path of Exile, I can definitely understand why people don't want to use it. But overall, it is a nice quality of life. And to really just finish up the video, I want to talk about the Heist rework. Now, the Heist rework on the alert progression, I think was needed. Now, of course, the community bitched and complained, and, you know, it's like a tug-of-war game, right? And I think right now, from what I've seen, from what I've personally witnessed on a couple different forums, the side that's bitching and complaining is winning the fight right now. Because, well, not winning, but I feel like there's more people joining up on that side to talk shit versus the people that are actually kind of backing up the rework. Now, if you're not familiar, the rework was, if you're spotted by a guard or you kill a guard, you no longer create progression for your alert, right? Now, it's only if you open up chests, whether small or big. They reduced the amount of alert that you get for big chests, and, well, actually, they just reworked it again, essentially, and I think they might tweak it one more time, so a total of 3 reworks. The third one hasn't come out yet. It might come, it might not come. It's kind of up in the air, but you were able to clear maps. You were able to clear heists. I can't tell you how many times I ran a heist, no matter the level, no matter the layout, and almost always cleared. I would always have a inventory full of loot. I always came out with crazy profit. Not saying like an Exile every time, but anywhere from like 3 to 10 chaos, right? Depending on what items dropped, what currency dropped, everything. Very lucrative. Now, a lot of people were complaining that the risk to reward is nowhere near balanced, which I will agree with. That is true. Excuse me. I don't think that's so much of a bad thing because there is still risk there. There is still that potential of like, hey, the lockdown happened. If I die, I lose everything. You still have that. But at the same time, getting to that point, you could still walk out with a lot of profit before the alarm even goes off. So to kind of like, you know, you walk out of the heist, everything in your inventory is now permanent, and then you go back in, and then whenever you die, if you die, you won't lose as much, if anything. So the risk to reward is unbalanced, but I think it's also kind of hard for a game like this. And I think the alert progression rework was needed because in a traditional RPG, you kill stuff to get loot. In this mechanic, you avoid killing to get loot, which is a little weird, and I kind of like how they did it. In my eyes, if they would have just, if you got spotted, your progression goes up. If you kill them, then the progression stops. This doesn't count for non-alerted guards in a sleep state, but I think that's how I would approach it, right? I would keep the chests and everything at their regular alert progress. I would still keep small chests at I would still be able to give like the opportunity to clear a whole map, but just make it so if you're spotted, your alert slowly goes up, and if you kill them, because that's the incentive, right? If you get spotted, you want to kill that mob as fast as possible, versus getting spotted, killing them, and nothing happens for your progression. I think that's a little weird, but that's how I would rework it. But with that being said, guys, I just wanted to go over, you know, my thoughts, how I approach the first week of every league. I make a couple characters, I set a couple goals for myself. I wanted to give advice on how to kind of farm a Tabula, because in the first day or two, you know, a Tabula can mean everything. Unless you're like really efficient, and then you can just buy like a cheap corrupted 6-link or like a 5-link, whatever, and then kind of craft it yourself as you go. That's cool too, but I think for most people, a Tabula right off the bat is good because it's not situational. You can use it on every character and take it to endgame. Where if you buy a certain 5-link 2-hander, well, what happens if you want to make another melee character and you want to do 1-hander? So I kind of want to just talk about a little bit of everything. With all that being said, guys, I am Rare6, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.